Welcome to Matt. I'm Dana Thompson, and today we have an exciting show for you. We're going to be talking about change and transition. Now, usually we're showing you how to use applications, but today we're going to give you one of our personal and professional development workshops. So stay tuned because we're going to talk about how change and transition can change your career choices. How change and transition can allow you to have better health and better well-being if you understand how to position yourself properly. So I hope you have a notepad next to you. If not, get a pen and notepad. Get ready to take some really good notes. We have a PowerPoint slide presentation for you so that we can go over some of the concepts which entails change and transition. You know, we're in an unstable time right now. We're in times where people are losing their jobs, having to change positions. There's a lot of changes going on within companies. There's migrating and mergers going on. But yet, my friend, these times are pivotal where most people basically who make the right decisions become most wealthiest. So hopefully you can take some of the principles from this workshop, change and transition, apply it to your personal and professional life and benefits from the causes thereof. Change and transition, turning points in the path of professional and personal growth. Successful people in today's business environment are able to flexibly respond to change. Your career and your mental health can suffer if you don't change along with your environment. So I'm going to take you to the PowerPoint and we're going to begin this journey together. Remember, life is a path. If you don't know where you're going, you don't know what path you're on. So let's get on the right path so that we can end up in the same destination. Now, the question should not be, will we ever change? But the question should be, when and how much will we change? Nothing stays the same except the fact that change is always present. Now, let me give you a course overview of our workshop for today. In this workshop, my goals are to help you deal with professional change and also personal change and transition. In this workshop, we will concentrate on the individual, and then we're going to have another workshop later in which we concentrate on the organization or business changes. A mystic gentleman once said this. He says, "I was revolutionary when I was young. And my wish was to have the energy to change the world. As I approached my middle age and realized that my life was half gone without me having changed a single soul, I changed my wish to be able to change all those in who I come in contact with. Just my family and friends, and I will be satisfied." He says, "Now that I'm an old man and my days are numbered, I have begun to see how foolish I've been. Now my one wish is to have the courage to change myself." He says, "If I had wished this right from the start, I would not have wasted my life." Listen to me, my friend. I believe that this mystic came to an understanding that both you and I should come to an understanding of as well. And what this understanding is that he understood that the more he changed, the more he became an instrument of change. Now he understood that when I change, everyone else around me would change. Can you just think about that for a second? When I change, when I become an instrument of change, that means my marriage will change. That means my job and employees I work with will change. You know, most people who basically have a great desire to want other people around them to change, especially in marriage, you hear all the time, the number one issue is how each of the marriage partners are trying to change one another. But let me tell you, let's take the wisdom of this mystic because I believe he was onto something. What he said was, if I change, then I become an instrument of change. If I change, I can personally affect those around me. my inner circle, my family, my friends. You know, there's a proverb that says it's easier for a man to rule a country than it is for him to rule his own household. I never understood that proverb at first, because ruling a country takes a lot of responsibility, because you're responsible for a lot of lives. But a family, if you have 1, 2, or even 3 children, I didn't see how it's harder to rule a household or family than it is to rule the world. Or should I say a nation? But when I think of all the labor and intensity that you have to put into a relationship, even with your wife and your own family members, I begin to understand the concept of change. Because if I was a ruler, I can just order people to function the way I want them to function. But guess what? Your wife and your children are not going to always take your orders. They want to build relationship, because relationship is the key to change. Remember, rules without relationship breeds rebellion. Let me say that again. Rules without relationship breeds rebellion. So let's go back to the PowerPoint and let's talk about the objectives in which we're going to cover in our workshop today. Just remember, unchanged people equal unchanged organization, and unless people are changed, change will never happen. So that's why, number 1, I want to make sure we have a clear understanding of what's the difference between change and transition. And then we're going to talk about why people resist change. Next, we're going to cover the seasons and phases of change and transition. And lastly, we're going to talk about how we can manage change in our own lives, and also how do we manage transition in our own lives. So let me start by asking you a question. The question is this. This is my question. If I was to ask you, what is the difference between change and transition, what would you tell me? What's the difference between change and transition? Well, there is a difference. A lot of times when people mention these two words, change and transition, you notice they sort of use them like they're interchangeable. They use them like they're synonymous terms. But my friend, there is a difference to change versus transition. Let me show you on the PowerPoint. First of all, we're going to talk about change. Change is defined as an external event or situation. It is situational and a one-time occurrence. Change is a shift from one person, place, or thing to another. So let's take a look at this definition. Change is a one-time occurrence, such as switching from an old health plan to a new one. Maybe you had a birth of a new young baby. Maybe you change your living arrangements. That would be change. Change is a shift from one person, place, or thing to another. Whereas transition, notice the definition, is the psychological reorientation that happens within us. In other words, it is the internal process we go through to make external changes. It is the inner process through which people come to terms with as a result of the change. As they go through and they let go the way things used to be and reorient themselves to the way things are now. So transition, if it's an ongoing process, basically dealing with the change, it's psychological. So remember, transition is letting go of how things were and embracing how things might become.